Ben writes in, I kind of, maybe I already answered this, honestly. Ben in Boston writes in, says, since starting your new thing this year, what has changed about the access to games and companies that you get for preview and coverage? Are any aspects easier or more difficult? Anything that surprised you? I honestly thought it was going to be kind of more difficult to reach out to companies. And this is more of a me thing. This is probably tied into some kind of fucking imposter syndrome, whatever you want to call it, type of stuff. But there was a part of me that was just like, man, I got to reach out and contact companies all over again and give them my new contact details. And are they going to care about what I'm doing? Is it going to matter? Like all this sort of stuff. And it has not been a problem. I've been doing this for a lot of years, and yeah, so contacting companies, all that sort of stuff, like people were ready to be like, oh yeah, what do you need? And, in a way that, like, honestly, in the early going for this stuff was a really big load off my mind in terms of just like, okay, we're gonna be fine. This is gonna be fine. I'm gonna continue to do the stuff that I am known for doing. I don't think this is going to be a problem. There was I'll leave the names out of it, but there was an interaction I had when I went to Keeley's, the Summer Games Fest in June that Jeff Keeley put on. When I went to that event, that I had literally been planning to go to as a part of my old job, and then suddenly was not. And so I had to then replan it as like, now I'm going by myself. Can I? And everyone was like, of course you can. Yes, of course. And so Keeley was probably one of the first person that made me feel very welcome as continuing to do this, which again, maybe sounds crazy to some people because I've been doing this for so long and all this other stuff, but like, it's a weird thing to have happen, right? Where you're like, oh shit, like I'm kind of starting from scratch and I'm kind of doing it on the run. It was something that I was like, maybe I'll do this in 3 or 4 weeks. And then suddenly it was like, oh, I guess this is happening right now. Okay. Shit. And then when I got there, I went to go see a game, and the person who was there handling PR is someone I've known, and a lot of people across it, but it doesn't mean you like are talking to them on a constant basis. This was someone, obviously, between the pandemic and just like not getting out, as much, like, this was someone I probably hadn't seen in like 4 years, 3 years. And I saw him and just started, and he was like, man, what the fuck happened? And like, I kind of told him the story, and and he's like, well, fucking whatever you need, man. This whole industry has your back. And I was like, oh, hey, huh. I guess you're kind of right. It was nice. Not to be emotional about it, but again, at a time that felt very fragile, or felt very like, fuck, man, what the fuck just happened? Holy shit. So, oh, look, all right. So the thing that happened in broad strokes, is that I got fired 3 weeks before I was going to quit. And that's why a lot of this is has been very murky for the last several months, is because that stuff's been really weird. Because at one point I had an offer to go somewhere else, and then I was like, I don't think that's going to be the right move, which I think it ended up not being the right move. And all this other stuff. And so I was like trying to find a reason to stay at my current position. And at some point they just said, like, basically like, yeah, how about instead you wrap it the fuck up? And I was like, oh, word. Okay. All right. And so I was planning to get to the other side of the E3 stuff and be like, okay, cool. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to go do my own thing and not do this anymore because I don't want to do this here. And I don't know what happened ahead of that. I don't know how this happened in the order that it did. But yeah, when I say I was planning to go to Keeley's thing as a part of my old job, I like was getting ready to start making appointments, and then suddenly it was like, oh, I guess I'm not going to respond to any of those emails ever again. Like, oh, huh. All right. And so it was a very weird thing that was in, it was like, there are aspects of that I will be angry about for a very long time. But it was just I don't know. It's a bad fucking fit at the end of the day. Just a bad fucking fit. And I gave it time to try to make it work, and it didn't. So, whatever. So, but like I said, this was all a few weeks before I was planning to just go anyway. And I was like, whatever, man. Like, I'll get out and do my own thing. I'm confident about it. I think it'll go really great. Like, I think it'll be, I'll be happier. It'll be all this other stuff. And then, all that stuff just kind of happened. And it was like, oh, weird. So yeah, just a fucking crazy bit of timing and all this other stuff. And I don't know. I still don't really know what happens, but yeah. So yeah, it was like I said, when I say it was a fragile moment, that's why, because it was just like, what the fuck is what is going on? Shit, man. But at the same time, like, yeah, the writing had been on the wall for some time that the things that I wanted to do with a video game publication were not going to happen there. So it is what it is.